After the sorrowful funeral of film legend Gene Hackman, before the shadows could even settle, another shocking event occurred. Leslie Hackman, his daughter, was attacked by a stranger right in her father's villa. But surprisingly, it seemed the stranger wasn't after property or anything valuable in the villa. What he wanted was Leslie's life. This attack was not just a random event but appeared to be a crucial link in the chain of mysteries surrounding Gene Hackman's death. This event took place in unusual circumstances, leaving few clear clues, but it raises a series of questions about the attacker's true motives. Was this a random attack, or was it a message sent to Leslie to warn her about something? Let's delve deeper into this in today's video. 1. Conflicting testimony from family members. Gene Hackman's death was supposed to conclude the illustrious life of a Hollywood legend, but instead, it opened a curtain of mystery that the public constantly debates. According to official reports, he passed away due to old age and illness, with information stating that in his final years, he suffered from Alzheimer's, a disease that seriously impairs a patient's memory and cognition. However, as soon as this news was released, Leslie Hackman, his daughter, spoke out to refute that information resolutely. She affirmed that her father was completely healthy, lucid, and showed no signs of dementia. This contradiction is not just a simple error in medical information, it raises a bigger question: is someone trying to manipulate the truth or conceal a conspiracy behind the scenes? When examining the circumstances of Gene Hackman's death more closely, many unusual details begin to emerge. First, the fact that the entire security camera system in his villa was disabled just before he passed away is an alarming sign. In most cases involving celebrities, surveillance cameras are important tools to verify the truth. But in this case, all surveillance footage disappeared without a trace. This presents two major possibilities: either this was a targeted attack, or someone within the family actively deleted evidence. Not stopping there, the reactions of Gene Hackman's family members also contain suspicious points. The eldest daughter quickly confirmed that her father suffered from dementia, although there has never been any publicly released medical report about this condition. Meanwhile, Leslie Hackman asserted the opposite, claiming that her father was completely lucid, showing no signs of Alzheimer's or any neurological conditions. The contrast in the sisters' testimonies makes the public question: who is telling the truth? And who is trying to distort the truth? A more frightening scenario begins to appear. If Gene Hackman actually had Alzheimer's, then any legal documents he signed recently could be deemed invalid. This directly affects inheritance rights, wills, and other financial matters. But if he did not have the disease as Leslie claims, then why did the eldest daughter affirm it? Furthermore, another suspicious point is the security camera system being disabled right before Gene Hackman passed away. This clearly cannot be a random coincidence. A state-of-the-art security system like the one in Gene Hackman's villa cannot suddenly stop working unless someone deliberately manipulated it. And the person capable of doing this must be someone with access to the system or with inside help. If someone planned for Gene Hackman to pass away naturally, then deleting evidence from security cameras is the perfect step to cover up traces. And this becomes even more plausible when his second daughter, Leslie, is attacked right in that house. 2. Hackman's daughter attacked. Following Gene Hackman's funeral, Leslie Hackman was attacked by a stranger right inside her father's own house. Remarkably, the attacker left no clear traces. She was assaulted, yet there was no sign of robbery, and no property was missing. This raises the hypothesis that the target of the attack was not property but Leslie herself. Was this a warning intended for her? Could it be that whoever was behind the incident wanted to ensure Leslie did not disclose any important information about her father's death? Upon arriving at the scene, police discovered signs of a struggle, but no direct evidence pointing to the attacker's identity. In a subsequent interrogation, Leslie described the attack in detail. According to her, the stranger emerged from the shadows, moving quickly and forcefully, indicating this was no ordinary thief. Notably, he did not intend to rob or take anything valuable from the house. His sole target was Leslie. He lunged, striking her with such force that she fell to the floor. Leslie attempted to fight back, creating a brief but fierce struggle. She affirmed that the attacker said nothing during the encounter, but there was a brief moment when he paused, as if considering whether to continue. Then, he unexpectedly released her, fleeing into the night without taking anything from the scene. This detail is particularly significant. If this were an attack for robbery, the attacker would have taken property. But the fact that he took nothing, and did not even intentionally inflict serious injury on Leslie, suggests this was not a typical robbery. Instead, his actions were more of a warning. Immediately after the incident, Leslie called the police. When investigators arrived at the scene, they noted signs of a struggle, but little clear evidence to identify the attacker. No blood, no strange fingerprints, no objects left behind as evidence. Unusually, although Leslie fell to the floor and sustained minor injuries, there were no indications of a murder attempt. If the attacker truly wanted to harm her life, he could have easily done so while Leslie was unable to react. But he did not. His act of releasing her and leaving quickly indicates he did not want to escalate the situation too far. Police also questioned the disabling of the security camera system just before the incident occurred. This is not something that could happen by chance. Someone must have been prepared beforehand, understood the house's security system, and known how to conceal their tracks. One of the initial hypotheses for the police was that this could be an attack related to property disputes within the Hackman family. However, there were no indications that Leslie had received prior threats, nor that anyone in the family had publicly clashed with her. This made the case even more unpredictable. Another investigative direction is examining Gene Hackman's relationships before his death. There might be individuals or organizations he had been involved with, and Leslie inadvertently learned something important. If this is the case, then this attack was a way to warn her not to delve deeper into her father's death. Had she discovered something about her father's death and wanted to investigate before reporting to the police? Or does she have another role in this case? 3. Conspiracy behind Leslie Hackman's attack. With a series of shadowy details surrounding Gene Hackman's death and the attack on Leslie Hackman, an important question needs to be asked: who is behind these events? One of the most notable hypotheses is that Gene Hackman's death and the attack on Leslie are not isolated events, but actually related to some underground force. Based on what has happened, there are many signs indicating a sophisticated conspiracy to conceal something that Gene Hackman knew before he died. Looking at the facts, Gene Hackman was not just a famous film actor but also a person of great influence. He had participated in films that exposed political and social secrets, raising the question of whether he had inadvertently become entangled in dangerous relationships outside of the film industry. Some unverified sources suggest that Hackman had engaged in independent investigations into sensitive issues, and this may have made him a target for some organization. In many documents released by the FBI, there is material mentioning that several witnesses, close friends of Hackman, revealed that he had expressed feelings of unease in his final years. Hackman, known for his privacy and avoidance of Hollywood scandals, was said to have become much more cautious. He once told a close friend, "There are things that should not be said, but sometimes the truth needs to be exposed." These words not only reflect Hackman's inner turmoil but also indicate that he may have held a great secret, a secret that he knew was dangerous to reveal publicly. Hackman's death is also compared to a series of other, unnatural death cases involving people who had tried to expose the secrets of underground power systems. A prime example is Gary Webb, a renowned investigative journalist who publicly revealed the connection between the CIA and drug trafficking organizations. Webb was found dead with 2 gunshot wounds to the head, and although the incident was ruled a suicide, many believe he was murdered to silence him. Another case is Michael Hastings, an investigative journalist who exposed scandals in the U.S. military, who died in a car accident that many suspect was remotely tampered with. If Gene Hackman truly discovered some secret, related to underground financial organizations, a political scandal, or even a government conspiracy, then his death may not be accidental. Those behind it may have exploited his age and health condition to create a death that looked natural. However, if someone in his family, specifically Leslie, discovered something, then she may have become the next target. The most suspicious detail in this hypothesis is that the attack on Leslie Hackman had no clear motive. If the attacker only wanted to kill her, he had ample time and opportunity to do so. Yet, he only warned her, creating a clear threat but not directly taking her life. This can be understood in two ways: either the organization behind it did not want to attract public attention, or they wanted to send a clear message to Leslie that she should not continue investigating her father's death. Moreover, the fact that the security system was disabled before the attack is not something a random attacker could accomplish. This proves that those behind it had knowledge of surveillance technology, or may even have had inside help from family or the security team. Another hypothesis worth considering is whether this incident is related to conflicts or secrets within the Hackman family. As mentioned earlier, there is a clear contradiction in the family members' testimonies regarding Gene Hackman's health condition. His eldest daughter claimed he showed signs of Alzheimer's, while Leslie asserted the opposite. This contradiction is not just a matter of memory or personal opinion. If Gene Hackman was truly not ill, why did his eldest daughter claim so? One possibility is an internal conspiracy to alter the will or control his assets. If Gene Hackman were declared to have dementia, any legal decisions he made in his final years could be considered invalid. This opens up an opportunity for someone in the family to control his assets and inheritance in a way that benefits them. In that context, Leslie may have discovered something about changes in her father's legal documents and become a threat to those who want to conceal the truth. The attack may be a way to intimidate her, or even an attempt to eliminate her from the investigation. One of the most common causes leading to cases within families is property disputes. No one can deny that Hackman was one of the greatest movie stars of the 20th century, but besides that fame, he also owned considerable wealth, estimated at tens of millions of dollars, including real estate, film royalties, investment shares, and undisclosed finances. One would imagine that after his death, this legacy would be divided transparently according to his wishes, but unexpectedly, Gene Hackman's will was changed shortly before he passed away, and the majority of the assets no longer belonged to his biological children. According to documents provided by Hackman's representing lawyer, several months before his death, Hackman made significant changes to his will. These changes not only affected how the assets were distributed but also raised a series of questions about the true motives of those behind this decision. Previously, Hackman's will had divided assets relatively equally among his children and some charities he favored. However, in the latest update, a large portion of the assets was no longer intended for Leslie, Elizabeth, or close relatives, but instead, transferred to an anonymous fund where the identity of the final beneficiary is unknown. This is the detail that makes this case more complex and mysterious than ever. Who is really behind this anonymous fund? If Hackman truly wanted to leave assets to an investment or charitable fund, why not publicly name the manager or the purpose of use? Legal experts suggest that this fund may be a way to conceal the identity of the real beneficiary, and if so, someone had a very strong motive to ensure that Hackman's legacy was not divided in the usual way. It is possible that someone influenced Hackman's decision right before he passed away, and may even have orchestrated it so he could not change this decision again. As soon as the content of the testament will be announced, a wave of fierce reaction from the Hackman family erupted. According to close sources, Hackman's children, especially Leslie, were extremely angry to learn that their inheritance rights had been significantly reduced. More notably, Leslie had a heated argument with her father just a few months before he passed away. This argument, according to some witnesses, was directly related to property issues. Leslie, who had a less than amicable relationship with her father for many years, seemed to have tried to intervene to ensure she received a larger share of the assets. The will being changed shortly thereafter, along with Leslie's strange actions after her father's death, make many people question, could she be involved in his sudden departure? Leslie's actions after Hackman's death further fuel suspicion. Immediately after hearing of her father's passing, instead of grieving or staying to assist with the investigation, she hastily disappeared from the media. Not only that, security cameras recorded images of her returning to Hackman's villa in the middle of the night, collecting some documents, and quickly leaving. Shortly after, a mysterious fire occurred in a nearby area, where partially burned papers were found, suspected to be the will or important financial documents. If Leslie really had nothing to hide, why would she act this way? Not only that, but Leslie also evaded police when they requested her cooperation in the investigation of Hackman's estate. She offered various excuses to delay providing information, hired a private lawyer, and severed almost all contact with her family members. Police also reviewed several unusual financial transactions in Hackman's accounts just before his passing, and coincidentally, large sums of money were transferred to accounts linked to Leslie. This raises a serious question: was she the one who influenced Hackman's will to benefit herself? And if she did, was Hackman's death truly a natural event, or was there some orchestration involved? Public opinion was divided into two camps. One side believed that Leslie might just be trying to protect her reputation and avoid being caught up in baseless rumors, but the other side believed that she was directly involved in the matter. Contradictory signs in her statements, unusual actions immediately following Hackman's passing, and especially the sudden change in the will, all suggest that there might be a conspiracy behind Gene Hackman's death. If Leslie was truly not involved, why was she unwilling to cooperate with the police? If she had nothing to hide, why destroy documents? If she was truly saddened by her father's passing, why could she calmly go to lunch with her sister immediately after hearing the testaments of his death? These questions remain unanswered, but the deeper the investigation goes, the more unusual details emerge. Another hypothesis also deserves consideration: if not Leslie, then who was really behind the change in Hackman's will? It is possible that a mysterious figure manipulated the situation, taking advantage of the strained relationship between Hackman and his daughter to alter the estate in their favor. The anonymous fund that Hackman left behind may not just be a financial vehicle, but also a tool to conceal the identity of the true beneficiary. The attack on Leslie might not be a random event but a deliberate act to warn her not to interfere in estate matters. This is a common tactic in family cases involving large sums of money, using threats or violence to force a family member to withdraw from the dispute. A final but equally important hypothesis is that Gene Hackman's death and the attack on Leslie may be related to his own past. Throughout his career, Gene Hackman participated in many films related to politics, crime, and conspiracy. Even though he was just an actor, that does not mean he never had connections with influential people or even with shadowy forces. In Hollywood, there are many stories about famous stars being drawn into the dark secrets of the entertainment, political, and financial industries. There are actors who have accidentally or intentionally become involved in issues far beyond the realm of art, and if Gene Hackman was one of them, then his death may not just be a natural event. If in his final years, he inadvertently discovered something he shouldn't have known, such as a financial scandal, a large-scale corruption scheme, or even an illegal organization, then it is very possible that someone wanted him to be silent forever. 5. FBI investigation direction. No. They meet with businessmen, politicians, people in finance, and even individuals operating in the underworld. Hollywood is not just the center of the entertainment industry but also a crossroads between art and power. If Gene Hackman had ever engaged in an independent investigation, or had connections with powerful individuals, then his death may have been orchestrated to silence him before he had a chance to reveal anything. You can consider some similar cases in the past. No few famous figures, from politicians to businessmen, singers, or actors, have suddenly passed away in mysterious circumstances, and afterwards, information about them gradually fades into oblivion. Could Gene Hackman also be a victim of such a conspiracy? If Gene Hackman had tried to reveal this information to someone before his death, then Leslie may be the only one left who knows the truth. If she was told by her father about what he discovered, then it means that she is holding a secret that someone wants to bury forever. And if she knows, it means that she is also in danger. 4. Analysis of evidence and traces. With a series of hypotheses put forward about the attack on Leslie Hackman, analyzing the evidence and traces at the scene is crucial to determine whether the above speculations have a basis. A case cannot rely solely on hypotheses but needs concrete evidence to clarify the truth. In this case, police have collected several important leads from the scene, from Leslie Hackman's testimony, and from factors surrounding the case. Below are the key points to analyze to find out who is behind this incident. When police arrived at the scene of the attack at Gene Hackman's house, they noticed several suspicious signs. First, there were signs of a struggle, but the level of violence was not high. This indicates that the attacker did not intend to kill Leslie, but only wanted to intimidate her. Household items were not disturbed much, indicating that the attack was not a break-in for theft. One of the most important factors is that the security system was disabled just before the time of the attack. In typical attacks, camera systems can record images of the intruder, but in this case, all data was lost. This proves that the attacker had specialized knowledge of technology or received help from someone inside the family or those with access to the security system. Police also noted that there were no signs of forced entry or forced locks from the outside. Doors and windows showed no signs of being pried open, which means that the attacker entered the house legally or had a key. This raises questions about who opened the door for him, or whether Leslie was being followed and attacked immediately after she entered the house. Traces of the struggle were limited to a specific area, with no signs of prolonged chase or fight. This indicates that the attacker carried out a calculated action, attacking suddenly to cause panic, then leaving quickly before Leslie could react more strongly. Attacker's behavior is one of the most important factors in determining his motive. According to Leslie's description, the attacker did not say a word during the encounter. This can be understood in two ways: either he did not want to be identified by his voice, or this was a pre-planned attack without communication between him and the victim. A particularly important detail is that the attacker did not try to seriously harm Leslie. If his goal was to kill her, he had enough time to do so. But instead, he stopped midway, as if sending a warning message. This behavior is common in cases involving threats or silencing witnesses. The attacker leaving the scene without taking any property shows that his motive was not money. If this was a robbery, he could have taken valuable assets in the house. But the fact that nothing was lost shows that this attack had a completely different purpose, possibly to put pressure on Leslie to stop investigating her father's death. Another possibility is that the attacker was hired to carry out this act, but may have hesitated at the last minute. If this was a professional assassin, he would not have stopped midway. But if he was only hired to send a warning message, then his actions are perfectly reasonable. Besides Leslie Hackman and family members, there are other individuals who could play a role in this case. Gene Hackman's lawyers, who worked with him in his final years, may know about the legal documents he signed. If there were any changes to his will or estate, they might be the ones holding important information. Additionally, security personnel and those who worked for the Hackman family should also be investigated. If the camera system was disabled right before the attack, who had access to this system? If it wasn't an intrusion from the outside, could someone from within have aided the attacker? Another noteworthy point is whether Gene Hackman had any legal or financial troubles before his death. If he had any investments or connections with dubious business organizations, his death may not have been entirely natural but related to some force wanting to silence him. Although much evidence has been collected, there are still important gaps in this case. In the next section, we will examine the next investigative directions and whether this case can be clarified. 5. Next investigative directions. Despite many clues being clarified, the case cannot yet be concluded as too many questions remain unanswered. The traces at the scene, the disabling of the security system, and the attacker's behavior all indicate that this was not a random incident. To move forward with the investigation, there are several directions that police can continue to explore to clarify the truth behind the attack on Leslie Hackman and the mysterious death of Gene Hackman. One of the most important steps is to check the security system data. Although the surveillance cameras at Gene Hackman's house were disabled right before the attack occurred, there is still a possibility of data logs existing on the server or storage system from the security management company. In modern security systems, data can be automatically stored on remote servers instead of just being on local devices. If police can retrieve data from this system, they may find out who accessed the system or who intentionally disabled the cameras before the attack. This could help identify the perpetrator and whether anyone in the family or Hackman's circle of acquaintances aided this action. Besides this, another important investigative direction is to thoroughly examine Gene Hackman's legal documents. If there was indeed an unusual change in his will or financial decisions before his death, this could be a primary motive leading to the incident. One of the most suspicious signs is the contradiction in family members' testimonies about Hackman's health condition. If he was not actually suffering from dementia as some claimed, could someone have taken advantage of his age to manipulate his assets? Checking asset records, wills, and financial transactions in Hackman's final months will help determine if any irregularities occurred, and more importantly, who benefited from these changes. A factor that cannot be ignored is investigating Gene Hackman's external relationships. In his career, Hackman was not only a film actor but also had many connections in other fields, including finance and media. If he was involved in an independent investigation or had connections with a certain organization before his death may not have been a natural event. Cases involving influential figures often have many hidden angles that the public cannot immediately see. If Hackman had indeed discovered a secret and intended to make it public, this could have made him a target to be silenced. In addition, a crucial aspect of the investigation is analyzing the psychology and behavior of the attacker. According to Leslie Hackman's testimony, the attacker did not intend to kill her but only wanted to send a warning message. This may indicate that he was not acting alone, but was working under someone's orders. Usually, in cases of intimidation, the attacker will not leave traces and will not take excessive actions to attract attention. If this was a murder, the attacker had the opportunity to commit the act, but he did not. This raises the question, who has a motive to warn Leslie? What did she know or was about to know that made her a target? If police can identify who benefits most from Leslie's silence, the list of suspects could narrow significantly. With all the details that have been analyzed, the most important question remains, can this case be solved? Currently, the case still has many unclear points. There are no specific witnesses, no direct evidence of the attacker's identity, and too many hypotheses are still being raised. However, one thing is certain, Leslie Hackman is in danger. If she is indeed holding a secret about her father's death, it is very likely that she will continue to be threatened in the near future. This not only raises concerns about Leslie's personal safety but also shows that some force is trying to hide the truth at all costs. One realistic possibility is that this case will gradually fade into oblivion, like many other mysterious cases involving famous figures. In the history of Hollywood and high society, there have been many instances where suspicious deaths are never satisfactorily explained. If those behind this incident are truly powerful, they may manipulate the investigation and ensure the truth is never made public. Falsifying forensic results, bribing witnesses, or simply having the case shelved without a final conclusion are all entirely possible scenarios. However, there is also another scenario. If Leslie is determined to pursue the truth and find concrete evidence about her father's death, this case could take a different turn. But that also means she will face even greater dangers. If she truly holds important information, then seeking justice is not just a personal act, but a confrontation with those who may not hesitate to use any means to protect their secrets. Can Leslie find the truth before it's too late? Are the current leads enough to uncover the secret behind Gene Hackman's death? And more importantly, who is really behind the attack on her? These questions may never have definitive answers, or perhaps one day, a new piece of the puzzle will emerge and shed light on the entire case. But one thing is certain, the truth is still hidden, and those behind this incident will not easily let it be revealed. If Gene Hackman's death truly has shadowy forces behind it, then this is not just an isolated case, but may be part of a larger scheme, a scheme that those in the shadows are willing to do anything to conceal. But the most important question is, what will Leslie Hackman do? She can choose to remain silent, accept fate, and let the past rest. Or she can continue to seek the truth, despite the dangers lurking around her. If she truly knows something about her father's death, her choice will determine everything. Will the truth ever be revealed? Or will it be forever buried under the dust of time? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. In your opinion, what really happened to Gene Hackman? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. Thank you for watching. See you in the next mysterious stories.